So what's this new project of mine got to do with HEMA? Well, I've been to loads of HEMA events, and I'm sure lots of you have as well. So been to those in the UK, you go to Fight Camp, you go abroad, you go to sort of Swordfish, or we go to the Dren event in Vienna. We've gone to all these places, and in the day, you spar, you go to classes, you teach. But when it comes to the evening, you go out for a meal, or you go back to wherever you're staying, you start talking about all the usual sort of HEMA topics. And one of the ones that always seems to come up, well, there's two really. The first one is, how well do the things that we practice work, or how well would they work, in our opinion, against people in the past? So, for example, if you were sort of a student of Capoferro, as in a modern student, you're practicing Italian rapier based on Capoferro, how would you fare against somebody from the period with the rapier? And of course, those conversations go on long into the night and after many glasses of whatever people happen to be drinking. The other topic that pops up, and it's one that my brother and I worked on originally with our first books, was things like the zombie apocalypse scenario. And in terms of, sort of weapons, tactics, equipment, all that kind of stuff, what would work and what wouldn't work against this fictional foe. And that brings me to my new book, which isn't a zombie story, I should add. I thought I'd go to all these different HEMA events, people are talking about these kinds of things, and you've got, people often joke and they say, oh, this is the last place you'd want to rob, because you've got a couple of hundred expert, or in theory expert, swordsmen and women that have been sort of practicing for years. Surely this would be the best defended place in the well, not in the world. There's no firearms or anything else like that, but they know what they're doing. So how could that translate into a book? So kind of rummaged the ideas around in my head, and I thought, why not combine a big HEMA event with something like the old Sam Raimi film, the Evil Dead film, the third one, Army of Darkness. So the dead rising, but they're armoured and armed and attacking the living. So I took that idea, ran with it, and then went for sort of a fusion of, say, the horror part of the Scream films, mixed with the old 90s Invasion of the Body Snatchers sort of style film that Rodriguez made called The Faculty, and then put in a little bit of the humour and loads of the violence from Evil Dead and Army of Darkness. Threw all of those together, put that into a HEMA event, and then had them attacking the site. So that was my basic premise for the story. I've set it at an unnamed college in the UK, sort of an old rundown college that's due to be demolished, which may sound familiar to some people because it is based on an actual real location. It's on the border of England and Wales, and it's kind of out in the middle of nowhere as well, so it's not kind of a big sort of urban area. And at this sort of kind of last kind of big event that's taking place at the college, there's an attack. And I won't go into the details because I don't want to spoil the story, but it ends up with kind of a horde of creatures or sort of soldiers from loads of different areas of the local area. So Roman soldiers, gladiators, Mercian infantry, Saxons, sort of Romano-British soldiers, even some sort of soldiers from the 17th century, turn up, and there's all kinds of things that happen. Now, I've also incorporated numerous actual HEMA people. So I asked the volunteers, and I've got people from all around the world, in fact, way more than I could ever actually use, at least for this first book, and I incorporated them into the story. So although the main characters, most of them are fictional, some of these people do pop in. I won't name them for now, because if you decide to read the book, you can find them yourself. But there are also a couple of companies that I mentioned as well that gave permission for me to include their names, and maybe even some of their products are included in there. So it's a nice little Easter egg for HEMA practitioners to sort of come across maybe YouTube celebrities that you've come across before, and weapons that you've come across, and products that you've been waiting for a while that maybe are about to come out. I've included all of those into the story. Now, the book itself is called, interestingly, Masters of Defense, which of course has has a meaning to HEMA people. Oh, this is the book here. Has a meaning to HEMA people, but it also has a meaning to people that know nothing about HEMA. So, Masters of Defense is kind of a name that means many things to many people, which I think it works quite well. And there's also a subtitle, just in case you're not quite sure what that means. If you can see that there, which is the Army of the Dead, which is the subtitle of the book, and would be the name of the first book in the series. So when the next book comes out, it will also be called Masters of Defense, and then the next book will have a new name. So I'll just show you again. That's the book. The artwork was done by my brother, who usually does the 2D. He does the 2D artwork for our books. I usually do the 3D assets for science fiction books. So you can see, I'll just move it a bit closer. I think he's done a really good job on that. It kind of has I'll just pop it down a moment. It has a sort of a cross between, something like Army of Darkness mixed with Doom, which is very much the way the book works out. Anyway, I've been working on this book for some time. I've had a lot of involvement from the HEMA community. It would be great if you could check it out and share it with people, even if it's not something you want to read. If you could share the book, that's worth a book sale to myself, just getting the word out there. So please share the information with friends and family and anybody that might be interested. If you want to read it, the links are in the description. It's available, or will be available worldwide, as an ebook, as a paperback, and an audiobook will follow as well. So do check it out. It will also be on Kindle Unlimited, so if you're signed up for that, you'll be able to read the book completely for free, which is quite handy. So please check it out. Masters of Defense, by myself, Michael Thomas, although my author name I usually include one of my middle initials, so it's Michael G. Thomas. And if you go there, you'll find out that I have a plethora of other books. I think this is about my 68th or 67th novel. I can't quite remember, but go along to the link and you'll see all the books there. And any questions, anything you want to know, pop it in the comments thread below and I'll do my best to answer it. Thanks again, and it's much appreciated.